Let me ask you a question. What if your brain performance, your focus, your creativity, your memory were largely determined by how much energy your brain cells can produce? Because emerging neuroscience suggests that that may actually be true. And one of the most fascinating technologies being studied right now to support brain energy is something called brain laser therapy, also more commonly known as photobiomodulation for the nerds in the house. Today, I want to explain how this works and how it may influence two of the brain's most important performance rhythms: alpha waves and gamma waves. Your brain is not just a chemical organ, it is very much an electrical organ. Every thought, every memory, every moment is produced by electrical activity across billions and billions of neurons. When groups of neurons fire together, they create rhythmic patterns known as brainwaves. Different brainwaves correspond to different mental states. For example, deep sleep is dominated by delta waves. Creating creative daydreaming often involves theta waves. But two of the most important brain waves for performance are alpha waves and gamma waves. Alpha waves occur when the brain is calm but alert. Think of the mental state when you are focused, learning, thinking creatively, or completely absorbed into a task. Researchers sometimes call this relaxed concentration. Alpha waves help the brain filter out distractions so it can focus on what matters. One theory is that alpha rhythms improve the brain's signal to noise ratio. So, in simple terms, they help the brain ignore irrelevant information so it can process important information more efficiently. When alpha rhythms are healthy, people often experience things like clearer thinking, improved learning, better focus, and greater creativity. If alpha waves organize information, then gamma waves help integrate it. Gamma waves are the fastest of all the brain waves. They are associated with memory formation, problem solving, high level cognition, and information processing. Interestingly, some of the strongest gamma activity ever recorded has been found in experienced meditators and elite performers. Gamma activity appears to reflect a brain that is highly synchronized and highly efficient. Some neuroscientists even call gamma rhythms the brain's binding frequency because they allow different regions of the brain to communicate together. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Your brain only makes up 2% of your body weight, but it consumes roughly 20% of your body's energy. That means brain performance is heavily dependent on cellular energy production. Every thought you have requires ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the energy molecule produced by your mitochondria. When brain cells struggle to produce enough energy, you may experience things like brain fog, mental fatigue, slower processing, difficulty concentrating. So, one of the most exciting questions in neuroscience right now is, what if we could improve brain cell energy directly? Brain laser therapy uses specific wavelengths of light, typically red and near infrared, that can penetrate biological tissues. These wavelengths interact with these mitochondria inside the cells. Specifically, they stimulate an enzyme called cytochrome C oxidase. When this enzyme is stimulated, it may increase mitochondrial activity. So here's what this leads to: increased ATP production, improved blood flow, better oxygen utilization, and enhanced cellular metabolism. In other words, it helps brain cells produce more energy. Over the last decade or so, researchers have begun studying what's called transcranial photobiomodulation in humans. Some of these studies have shown some really cool things. They've shown improvements in attention, working memory, cognitive performance, mood regulation. Other research is exploring its potential uses in conditions like TBI, traumatic brain injuries, stroke recovery, depression, Alzheimer's. While this research is still evolving, a lot of it is out there and it's growing rapidly. The results so far are extremely promising. So, when clinicians like myself apply photobiomodulation, what we often will focus on is regions involved in executive function. These include areas like the prefrontal cortex, which controls decision making and focus, an area called the anterior cingulate cortex, which helps regulate attention and emotional control, the parietal cortex, which plays a role in attention networks, and even the cerebellum, which helps coordinate cognitive timing and performance. Many people will call the cerebellum the air traffic controller because it's also the great organizer of brain. These regions form the brain's executive control network. When these networks function efficiently, people will often experience things like improved focus, clearer thinking, and better mental stamina. See, here's what's cool: the brain is not a fixed organ, it is very dynamic. It always adapts. It responds to energy, blood flow, and neural activity. Technologies like photobiomodulation are giving us new ways to support the brain's metabolism and neural networks. And as research continues, we may discover that optimizing brain energy could play a major role in improving cognitive performance. If you're interested in learning more about brain laser therapy and the neuroscience behind it, subscribe to this channel because I will be sharing tons, tons more about brain performance, neurodevelopment, nervous system regulation, and the emerging science of brain photobiomodulation. And if you have questions about brain health or brain optimization, leave them in the comments. I read every single one and get back to every single one.